Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have a watermelon, but not any watermelon. This is basically the watermelon available to German consumers in the last couple decades. Basically the only type of watermelon commonly sold in German supermarkets from when we arrived in Germany in the 80s until a couple years ago. Nowadays there are actually a few other varieties which have started to become less rare, and you can find them outside of ethnic supermarkets. I remember that for several decades we used to buy our melons in the Turkish supermarkets, because those melons here, which come from Spain, those watermelons which come from Spain, they are not the tastiest ones, to be honest. I don't know why they are so popular in Spain. Spain is a gigantic watermelon production, and they also deliver to a large part of Western and Central Europe, and yet this stuff is not too tasty. Basically, every time I have some new friends from Bulgaria, Romania, Turkey, Greece, Ukraine, Russia, I tell them, beware, in Germany the watermelons are salty. They tell me, you are insane, watermelons cannot be salty. Yeah, and then they tried the first Spanish watermelons from German supermarkets, and they all said, oh my god, you are right. In Germany watermelons are not sweet, they are salty. Yeah, so you can imagine the taste difference between a really good watermelon from the Eastern Mediterranean or Black Sea region versus a salty-ish Spanish watermelon. Yeah, and as I said, until a couple years ago, this was the only thing that was reliably available in German supermarkets. You had to find good Eastern supermelons in Turkish or Greek ethnic shops. It's also quite impossible here as a customer to find out what melon this is. On the label it says süß, saftig, sonnengereift, which means sweet, juicy, sun-ripened. Well, my experience with a large proportion of those watermelons from Spain is basically that they are not sweet but salty. They are not juicy but basically rubber-like. And yeah, in Spain in summer they have more than enough sun, but somehow a lot of them don't taste like they are really ripe. On the big box where a lot of those melons were, there was also no name of the variety. It just said Spanish watermelon poor in seeds. Not seedless, but like almost seedless. Well, but let's try it. Maybe I'm talking so much crap about this nice fruit, and at the end it will turn out to be really tasty. Oh, cutting stuff with one hand. Well, at least the sound shows me that it's ripe. That doesn't mean that it's extremely tasty, but at least it's ripe. Well, let's see. Well, the color is rather pinkish than reddish. Nice watermelon flavor. Cannot see a single seed here, but there are some traces which show that there will be seeds. And it is not really tough. It is rather crunchy. That's a nice surprise. But not very sweet. A mild sweetness, a mild sourness, and unfortunately a mild saltiness. In this one, the saltiness doesn't dominate. I would say maybe in this one 50% sweetness, 35% sourness, and about 15% saltiness, so not one of the worst ones. Let's try and get another piece. But still, it doesn't even come close to a good watermelon from Eastern Europe or Turkey. Yeah. Not the worst Spanish watermelon, but Not what we would call a sweet or tasty super melon in the East. Sorry to have to say it, but I don't know why. I don't know why the Spanish and the other producers in Western Europe don't adapt those Eastern varieties, which are so much tastier. Why they are sticking to this stuff here? Maybe it's easier to produce. Maybe the German and other Central and West European consumers want them in this size. A lot of the really good Eastern watermelons are actually pretty huge varieties, and the average German family, can more or less deal with such a watermelon, but a 10-kilo watermelon, most of them would be quite overwhelmed by it. What a pity that here in Germany most watermelons will be mediocre, and you still have to go either to some German supermarkets which would sell those giant 10-kilogram melons by the piece, or you have to go to Turkish supermarkets which will cut you a slice of the giant super melons. Otherwise you'll usually have to deal with those here. So folks, this was the salty Spanish watermelon. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful city of Heidelberg, and don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.